Today is a very powerful, important episode. We talk about how to deal with abusive people. How do we love people who are tough to love? Is a toxic relationship worth fighting for? Is it unloving to step away from abusive people? How can we get what we need? Because many of you are not getting what you need from your faith communities and even your families, which is really, really hard. We need love and encouragement as we are for who we are, unconditional. It's what you deserve, really, really. And I hope this episode helps you get that.
Would it be okay if I were to tell you that I am afraid someday? So I call you up and you call me down. Would it be okay?
Well, hello and welcome to the FreedHearts podcast. My name is Robert Cottrell and I am the co-founder of FreedHearts, and here's my bio. I was born in I thought I'd make it a little bit about me. Change. And I'm here with the person with the amazing, beautiful laugh and spirit. And she is
Susan Cottrell.
Oh, so glad to be here. Shucks, you wish. And we're so glad you're here with us. Thank you so much. And by the way, if you have questions or things you'd like us to talk about here on the podcast, please connect with us at podcast@freedhearts.org. And come to freedhearts.org, and you can read a whole lot more about all that we do and the vibrant resources and community that we have for LGBTQ people and for parents, and all about new stuff. And we'll talk about our biggest new stuff, our new project that we're so excited about. We'll talk about that more at the end of this episode. We talked about it a bit at the end of last episode, but we are really excited to share that with you in some more detail. Today is I think it's a very powerful, important episode.
Yep.
Again, if this discussion, I guess a trigger warning here, just know that you're safe. You're safe here. You're loved here. This is a safe space. But we're going to talk today about how to deal with abusive people. How do we love people who are tough to love? Is a toxic relationship worth fighting for? Is it unloving to step away from abusive people? So how can we get what we need? Because I know that many of us were not getting what you need from your faith communities and even your families, which is really, really hard.
Yes.
We need love and encouragement as we are, for who we are, unconditional. It's hear me now, it's what you deserve.
Yes.
Because you are beloved. Really, really, it's what you deserve. And I hope this episode helps you get to that. So, or get that. So, Susan, why don't we get started here by talking a bit about deepening our understanding of loving someone who's hard to love.
Yeah. And I just want to say, this beloved LGBTQ community and supporters and others who are outliers, you do deserve to be loved. You just want to be loved. You need to be loved, and you deserve it. And your heart is good. Your heart is good. Your heart seeks to do the right thing. I know that. I've talked to you, and you've turned yourself inside out to try to be what's expected of you, what you think God wants of you, certainly what your community wants of you. And I'm here to meet you where you are and say, you're good. You're beloved. You don't have to change to be acceptable.
Wow.
You've done everything asked of you, everything. And we do this work every day, and we see you, and we know your heart is good.
I think you were talking to me just then.
Aw.
Yeah. We need to hear that, don't we?
Oh my gosh. From each other. We do. And you need to know that for yourself. And many of you are not getting that from your communities, from your faith communities, even from your families, which is really, really hard.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to convey to you here.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Just personally, thank you for that.
You're welcome, baby.
So is it, I know there's confusion because we hear it all the time. Is it unloving to step away from someone who's abusive?
Yeah. So, I've been talking about that love means to accept someone as they are with room for who they may become. And that is very easily misinterpreted as, then I need to accept my abusive people as they are and be there basically and keep coming back for it. And I'm saying, no. I'm saying the opposite of that. So when you, like one person wrote, is it unloving to stay away from my family that has abused me and said terrible things to me? Or does loving them mean I need to keep forgiving them and giving them more chances? And no, it does not mean that at all. It actually means the opposite. So to pull away from people who are abusing you, maybe the best, most loving thing you can do. When you accept someone as you are, then you're saying, okay, you are not safe. You are abusive to me. I'm not saying it to them. So you're saying it to yourself. And I don't want to subject myself to this anymore. That's actually accepting them as they are, because you're facing up to who they are, who they're telling you that they are. And you're then making a decision. I'm not going to submit to that. I'm leaving. And I just want to make it very clear. And I think it's really hard to grasp because we've been taught a love that's really a counterfeit. That, we've been conditioned to accept abuse, to be codependent, and to absorb other people's anger and try to please people who are in power over us.
And it's what we deserve because we're all broken, that kind of thing. It's just all kinds of things going on there that play into our willingness to, or feel like, well, okay, I'll just take it.
And women in the churches, women are often taught, are taught to work around their husband's anger, to submit to their husband, and it doesn't address the anger. It's just, how do you tiptoe around the anger?
Like we talked last week about Paul, it takes the first part of that verse and ignores the husbands, love your wives.
Yes. Yeah. And we teach our children to tiptoe around, the dysfunction in the family. And I'm not saying that, but the fact that we don't understand love and that this is so foreign to us shows how badly we've been taught. So I really want to clarify what all this I want to read you an email. But before that, let me tell you this Maya Angelou quote. There's a quote where she says, "Be careful when a naked man offers you a shirt." And she was saying, don't trust someone to give you what they don't have. Don't trust someone. Yeah, isn't that great? Don't trust someone who says, I love you, but they don't love themselves. And I add to that, don't trust someone to tell you how to be a, quote, good Christian when their life is ridiculous, when they are judging and rejecting and condemning others. Seriously, when they're not showing you the love of Christ, you can dismiss their counsel, period. Or if Christian's not part of it, if they're not showing you love and respect, you can dismiss their counsel. I mean, love of Christ for people who are claiming to be Christians. That's what I meant by that.
And just picture them as naked trying to give you their shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Which you might just then have to turn away. I mean, there'll be no choice at that point. So I want to read you this part of an email from somebody that is just heartbreaking. She said, I've been listening to your podcast and it's been so healing. So thank you for doing it. I've been hospitalized for depression 12 times.
Wow.
Because my self-loathing was too much to carry. But as soon as I finally stopped fighting who I am, I started to get better. And according to my doctor, I'm now considered to be in full remission from my depression. That's why your podcast video is so important. Very sweet. I can only imagine the impact they're having on people like me. And I'd wish I'd found them sooner. Okay, but my parents wrote me a letter after I came out. And it's the reason I don't talk to them anymore, but I miss them. And I'm holding out hope that this can all be fixed somehow. I could really use a second pair of eyes to give me a straight answer from an unbiased opinion. Is the relationship worth fighting for, or should I give up on it and move on?
Good question.
It's a very good question.
And a pretty common question, I think, or common scenario.
Yeah. Oh, and she said this too. She said, my parents say they're acting out of love, but they don't know what that means. I don't even know what love means. I know what it's not, but how do I explain it to someone else? I've experienced and given love, but how do I explain it to a person who withholds love while saying it's because I love you? How do I explain it to myself when all I want is to be loved by them, but I also don't want the, quote, love they're offering? So
that's a word that's tossed around, but again, they say they love you, but they, like you said earlier, but they don't understand what love is
Yes.
because they've probably not experienced love, not justifying at all, but
Right.
they don't understand how loved they are.
Yeah. They don't have a shirt to give you.
Yeah, they don't have a shirt to give you.
Yeah. And it's embedded in the teaching, which makes it all the worse. But I told her
that embedded in the teaching is interesting because, if you could keep people convinced that they're naked, then they're always in need of clothing.
yes.
And I think if you convince people that they're not beloved,
Yes.
then it makes what community, and I use that word lightly in this case, you're offering to them becomes even more important.
Yes.
And the acceptance of the church or the group or whatever it is becomes critical because they feel so unworthy. And if people could realize how beloved they are, it makes them need all of those false things instead a whole lot less.
Yes.
Which is scary for the people in control.
The power that they wield. Yeah. And that's what codependence is when your well-being depends on other people being happy with you or just being happy. And so, the church really, this kind of church is fostering codependence with all of this.
So did you have an answer?
Yeah, I did actually.
Really?
I know. I said, okay, people can say whatever they want. That doesn't make it true. I can say I'm the world's best piano player. That doesn't make it true. I don't even play piano. The church has gotten away with saying they do all kinds of things in love when they're actually not. So what does that mean? Love feels like love. Love feels like love. And people will say, well, God corrects us and doesn't feel like love. First of all, you're not God. Second of all, yes, it does. It absolutely does. I've been corrected
when it's
a
the
number of
Spirit.
times.
When it's the Spirit correct.
when
That's an interesting thing because when the Spirit corrects you, it does feel like love.
Yes.
Oftentimes when people correct you, it doesn't feel like love.
Yeah,
So
they don't have your pulse.
That should be a big red flag right there.
Yes, exactly. And especially when you're telling them, this doesn't feel like love. If they're really loving, they'll say, oh, excuse me. Okay, I'll stop. Let me adjust that. When the Spirit does correct us, it does feel like love. But how do you explain that to a whole church of non-affirming Christianity that has said otherwise? The course of Christianity has said love hurts.
When love itself has been twisted
Yes.
and redefined, it's hard.
When we don't even know, we've lost touch with what love feels like. We've been conditioned out of it. Then where do you go from there?
What should love feel like?
Perfect question. Love feels like warmth. It feels like hope, feels like safety, like permission, like freedom. You get to decide who you are and how you live. And we support you in doing that. That's what love looks like. That's how it shakes down on the receiving end. And if what you experience from me doesn't feel like love, then I get to start over, really, and try again. Because somehow I didn't get the memo on what you're trying to tell me. Somehow I have not seen you or heard you and have not been with you as you are. Because love isn't any random thing someone decides to throw at you and just say it's love. Love is caring and it's helping and it has legs.
Can you summarize back up to the email, which was so compelling?
Yeah.
Can you just summarize for me what your response was basically? Was it just, you don't send it back, it's not love? Did you say more to her about all that? I'm sure you did.
I'm sure I did.
I don't mean to throw you off track here. I just
basically
wonder,
that
if there's a follow-up, if there's been a follow-up.
There has been a follow-up. I'll come to that. But it just, basically, if what you're experiencing from them doesn't feel like love, if you walk away feeling worse than when you started, then it's not love. And you get to say, no, I don't accept it.
And worse is no hope. No freedom, that kind of thing. Yes.
Yeah. Not seen,
like you
not
just said.
heard.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
And as I said, when I'm corrected in love, I do feel all those things. I feel closer to the person who corrected me than before. But that's the part. And
you had a story once about missionaries.
Yes.
Remember that?
I do. It was describing some of the care packages they got from their churches. And they included things like used tea bags and torn underwear.
Good night.
What? And I mean, really, used tea bags? They were used, thrown away things that they decided to send to these missionaries. Now,
Wow, that speaks volumes.
it speaks volumes.
We could unpack that in a whole episode there, but
That's right.
wow.
It says they don't care at all. They're not
Yeah.
care packages.
They were sent in love though, right? Is that what you're getting to here?
That's what I'm getting to. And then we call them ungrateful if they don't fall on their knees and say, thank you for your generosity. But good heavens. So why would somebody send stuff like that? Because of how they view missionaries, because it's what they think they deserve. That there's a whole narrative about missionaries are on the very edge of poverty and should be.
Yeah, the missionary mindset. Yes.
And they should be grateful for anything they get. But we reject that. We reject that as a paradigm for a human being. And in the same way, the only reason people give love that is already used, torn, thrown away, and that in no way feels like love is the narrative that that's what people deserve, that that's what LGBTQ people deserve, and that they should be grateful they get anything. And I reject that. We reject that.
Yes.
And your heart rejects that too. That pierce inside your heart that says, oh my gosh, you guys, that is your heart caring for you. That's your heart saying, no, we deserve better than this. Better than this. And your heart is right to say that.
Yeah. I thought you were going to go off the deep end with some stronger language there, but you held back, didn't you?
I did. I was going to say F them.
That's all right.
You know, if that's what they have to offer you, you could do better elsewhere, honestly.
Well, I think repeating that again, I think that seeing that kind of I love you, but this love that doesn't feel like freedom, that doesn't have hope, that doesn't feel like love, to view that as used, torn, thrown away care package.
Yes.
And that view that you're receiving that because there's something deep inside the giver there that thinks that that's what you deserve.
Yes, it is.
And that could be the internalized homophobia. It's the long teaching, whatever it is.
And they'll tell you they're not homophobic.
Right.
There's not a homophobic bone in their body.
Yeah, but they
that's
feel like
where it comes from.
That's right. And that's and again, we reject that, and your heart should reject that as well. It's what you That's what you deserve, is to reject that.
Yeah. And so the answer to the question, is it unloving to walk away from people who offer that kind of quote love? No, it's not unloving. What you are saying, message received. These used tea bags, these torn underwear, I got it. I got how you view me, and we're done here.
It's clear what you're offering me.
It's clear what you're offering me, and no thank you. I reject it. And it's loving them, because the idea of loving as accepting someone as they are is to get the message they're sending.
Well,
the
that's a good
message they're
point.
sending is, you don't deserve better than this. And you're saying, message received. I accept you as you are. Goodbye.
They may not understand who they are.
They don't understand who they are.
Yeah, you're right. It is
think they're being
accepting them
faithful.
for who they are. So that leads to the next thing that people wonder is, yeah, but what if they change?
Yeah.
Won't they ever get it?
Right. They're holding out hope. I hear this all the time. We both hear this all the time, that you can't.
And we're not making light of that. Again,
no.
I say things in a way, I don't ever mean to make light of anybody's struggle here, and I apologize if I ever do that. But the idea is, but if I don't stick around and tell them, who will tell them? Like, isn't it my duty? And what that really is a resistance to accepting them as they are, which is rejecting of you, homophobic, or whatever, unloving. And so there's a good chance they never will change. Yeah.
But you have to be able to accept it in yourself, to accept them as they are and let them go.
Yeah.
And that's really hard.
You have to care for yourself and love yourself here.
Yeah.
And again, the Spirit is capable of speaking to them if they open their box and are willing to hear.
Yeah.
So it's not like, well, if I don't tell them, nobody will. No, there's
That's not your job. You've told them.
Yeah.
They're not receiving it.
Right. So you need to, at that point, you need to care for yourself.
Yeah.
You need to care for yourself, because that's what you deserve.
So when you pop popcorn.
Wait, popcorn? Yeah, popcorn?
Popcorn?
Mm.
That sounds good, actually.
Wow.
And you have some
Popcorn break.
kernels at the bottom of the box, and some of them are half popped. Those are cool. They're kind of fun. You can kind of crunch them open, right? And you'll have kernels at the bottom of the box that are not open at all. And those you throw away because there's not a chance that you'll get anything out of them. They're just done. And the same is true with family members who have no opening to hear what you have to say. Are they listening, not listening to correct you, not just shutting up long enough for you to say something, but then saying what they are going to say, but listening? If they're not listening and trying, then they're an unpopped kernel that you just let go of. Do you understand?
Yeah, and that's hard. And that's why I think chosen family has become such an important part of a lot of people's lives who are in the LGBTQ community and affirming family members. And so if you're seeking chosen family community, please reach out to us. We do have that available at a number of sources for you. But sometimes I say this a lot to dads that, your friends will be, you'll find out who your real friends are, on this journey, and your family members may change. They may be redefined. Yes. But there is chosen family. There are chosen family members out there who will love you and who do love you. Yes. Exactly as you deserve.
There's self-protectiveness inside of us that keeps going back because it feels like we have some hope that it will come together someday, even though we know that it won't. And so to turn that corner and say, I'm done here, is a comeuppance in your own being. And that's hard for people because what you have to do is grieve the loss of what you hoped for. It is hope ended for that relationship. And you have to be able to say, gosh, that really hurts.
Yeah. And it's hope. Sometimes it's hope born for receiving the kind of love that you deserve.
Yes.
We just had someone very close to us, a situation where we were talking to them and they had to pull away from a relationship, and instead of sounding heartbroken, they sounded empowered.
Yes.
And almost free, like, okay, now, and just, because I deserve something different.
And they really loved that person, but they finally saw them for who they were. And so they had to step away, and that's where the freedom comes from.
Yeah.
But if you have trouble knowing if this is a good thing or not, picture somebody that you really love and care about deeply, and imagine them receiving this treatment. Would you want to put your arm around them and pull them away into a better place because you know this is crap? If so, that's what you get to do for yourself. That's what you need to do for yourself. Yeah, that's a really good gauge. And if I were there with you, would I put my arm around you and say, come on, let's get out of here? And you know the answer to that. Yeah. And if it's a yes, then let's go. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And yeah. And she said, well, how can I explain it to them? You can't. I said, you can't explain it to them. You're not going to be able to explain it to these people.
And they'll toss out those things. Well, you're the one being unloving. They'll toss out all kinds of things in anger. But again, you just can't, it's like not debating people who are committed to misunderstanding you. If they can't get the fact that they're not being loving, they probably won't get it when you try to explain it to them.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So you got to care for yourself there.
This gal wrote back and she sent me the little letter that they had sent. It was short, so I was able to read it, but it was just awful. And she had started out by saying, tell me if I've misread this. Tell me, they try to make me look bad, but I hope you don't think that. And I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. So other people will defend you who see you and love you more than you may be defending yourself.
Yeah. Well, I think when we're involved in that relationship, we have a lot, she has a whole history with her parents and she brings a whole lot to the table. We, being removed from that, can sometimes see it very clearly. Like you said, you can see it in other people.
And they don't have their hooks in us the way they do
if they're
in their family members.
Yes. And if they're, again, they know how to trigger you.
Yes.
They know what hot buttons to push.
Yes.
And if they're doing that in order to make you feel, to shame you and to bully you and to make you feel bad, alarm should be going off. That's the love. That's, you're making me feel this way, so I will let you love me this way. What the hell? What? So.
Yeah, this kind of love I can do without.
Yep.
It does break my heart to hear from people who are in abusive relationships and they won't leave. And I know there are a lot of layers to it, and
Yeah.
there are often not easy answers. And there's lack of support for the abused person and all of that, and there's some part inside that believes they deserve it or is trying to protect themselves by staying instead of facing the ultimate, this is not going to work. And this gal that I wrote back said, then what do I do now with this hole in my heart, basically, from this family? How do I move on? And I said that you have to grieve, but what you're grieving is not really the family you had, because this is the family you had. What you're grieving is the family you thought you had, that how they were maybe before you came out, and you didn't realize the extent of their rejection they were capable of. You're grieving the idealized, the family that you deserve to have, that you should have, that kids need to have family that love them. So,
yeah. Well, I think, we do hope for a day when you out there, when LGBTQ people and all people who are abused by these kind of narratives are so empowered that these kind of narratives lose their power.
Yes.
Some basic, love God, love others kind of takeaways here would be maybe tune your radar if you're in the middle of this kind of situation to see if it feels like love. If it feels like love, and if it doesn't, maybe take a step back and look at that. And again, that's going to start to uncover the truth about people you care about and internalize things you may be dealing with as well. But so tune your radar to see if it feels like love. Focus first and foremost on self-care. And that self-care, honestly, with all of us, regardless of whatever issue you're dealing with here, that self-care starts with realizing that I am beloved, that you are beloved. And that has really led us to what we want to close today with. And that's talking about something that we're doing, and that's our beloved adventures.
Yeah.
And it's really our desire to, how can we love you? How can we help you as you're dealing with this or some other kind of shaming, rejection, condemnation, bullying, depression, any of these kind of things, because you're not receiving love either from other people or from yourself. All these kind of things you're dealing with, deconstructing all of that. How can we love you best during this time?
Yes. Because we think about you all the time, and we think, how can we give you what we have to offer? How can we impart this to you, our love and everything else? And the need is so great. I have people saying, I wish you were my family. I wish you were my mom. Will you be my mom? And it's so tender. It's heartbreaking. And of course, I wish I could say yes, but I can't. And so we're always saying, how can we be your mom and dad in a way that, we really can do and offer the most freedom for you and show the most love to you? And so the answer to this, as we've been engaging with this, has come in the form of this interactive 21-day beloved adventure.
Wow. It's our Beloved Adventures program.
Yes.
And it's going to be a series of different courses and journeys we're going to take together. But
Yeah.
the first one is a 21-day adventure to free your heart.
Yeah. And we like Beloved Adventure because it's BA, totally. And life-changing. And this first one it's just the first one. And we'll have a series of these. But
this is 21 days, and it starts July 7th, 7/7/21.
Yeah.
It starts, if you're hearing this podcast after the fact, you can go back and either start late, or if it's way after the 21 days, you can go back and do it fresh.
Yeah.
But it starts 7/7/21, and there are 4 longer workshop events as well as 21 daily sessions with you.
Yes.
And a journal, and it's just an amazing thing.
And just think of me sitting on the sofa with you. We're drinking some hot tea or your beverage of choice. And I'm able,
That changes things.
And I'm able to say these things directly to you. That's what these videos are like. And so it's the best way to provide intimacy to thousands of people around the world who love this work and want to be freed.
Yeah.
So
we're very excited. And we've
very excited.
And we wanted this to be, as with all of our resources, if you just can't afford anything, let us know and we'll find a way to get it to you.
Yeah.
But we have priced these courses because they are one of our premium offerings. But we've priced these courses in a way that we think is really cool. and affordable, and it's pick what you pay. And so you get to decide if you have a situation, what you can afford. And if you need to choose the lower price, then that's fine. If you can pay the higher price on it, then please do, because that helps us do everything else that we do.
Yeah.
So that's exciting as well.
Yeah. And we're just looking very, very forward to it. We'll do ones in the future about how to be in your body, one on how to own your emotions, and one about how to detoxify yourself from your faith, just, or detoxify in general. So
lots of adventures coming.
We're thrilled with these adventures.
So please check them out. All the information is at freedhearts.org. They're called Beloved Adventures. And again, the first one, which starts very shortly on 7/7/21, is a 21-day adventure to free your heart and also transform your internal conversations. It's going to be awesome. Please join us for that. Join Susan on that, because it serves you well. You deserve to love and be loved for who you are.
Yes.
Exactly as you are. And we're going to take a break for the summer, so we won't have any new episodes coming for just a bit. But if we could leave you with a mantra for the entire summer, as we hopefully get out and do some things and hug people again, and with that, you are beloved, you are loved, you are worthy, you matter, you belong, you deserve to love and be loved. You are beloved. And we love you.
We love you.
And we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Would it be okay if I were to tell you that I am afraid someday? So I call you up and you call me down. Would it be okay?
You've been listening to the Freed Hearts podcast. We have extensive resources and vibrant community for you at www.freedhearts.org. Just come say hello. And if you have questions or issues or comments about the podcast, things you'd like us to talk about, reach out to us at podcast@freedhearts.org. The music is provided by Hannah Cottrell, our daughter, the Grammy-nominated Saint Sinner, and you can find out more about her at heysaintsinner.com. Please share this, subscribe, and follow on your favorite platform, and thanks for listening.